Thank you all for coming to this meeting. This is the first of many community conversations I hope to hold moving forward, where we can come together and discuss how we can make progress on important issues together. We plan to hold another meeting like this next Thursday evening so more people can attend. The location of that meeting is still being worked out, so we'll get that out as soon as possible. But looking at about a 6 o'clock start time next Thursday. I share some of the confusion of that the community has over what the findings this morning by the special prosecutor had and what it means exactly. It's beyond frustrating that there was no video for the most critical moments of this case, and without new evidence, it may be that we never know the full truth of what happened during Eric Logan's death. This will understandably continue to cause anger and pain in our community and does not advance building trust that we all want to get to. But we must have trust in our public systems, including law enforcement. There's simply no other way forward for us as a community. To help foster that trust, I'm committed to doing what I can, laying a foundation built on honest conversations like the one we're going to have here today, transparent and inclusive policy making that's underway, and a system of accountability that's fair and just. It requires a lot of hard work, and it won't happen overnight, but I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work with all of you to make it happen. I'm disturbed, like many, by the charges against former Officer O'Neill while he was on duty. I know Chief Ruskowski will continue to hold our officers to a high standard, and I thank the South Bend police officers who came forward and reported this alleged misconduct. Without our officers and the department's internal investigation, the special prosecutor would never have known about those allegations. I will look to see what I can do to encourage and protect whistleblowers, to ensure that they are empowered to bring forward information, and help hold our bad actors accountable. Let me outline a few near-term steps that we're looking to take. The city will host more conversations like this one, including the one I mentioned next Thursday. In the coming weeks, we expect that report from 21st Century Policing that started last July, and with their recommendations and conclusions from their review of the South Bend Police Department. We will also release a revised disciplinary matrix that we talked about as a community about a month or so ago, and we'll receive some more public input on that before moving forward. And after we get through those pieces, we'll want to take a look at the various topics that the previous administration discussed at the CAG meetings and see how we can move forward together on that as a community as well and make sure that we're all on the same page. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that a member of our community lost his life, and I offer sincere condolences to the Logan family. I'm hopeful that we can unite as a community and city administration to figure out how we move forward together and make progress in our city. And I look forward to the respectful dialogue and hearing from all of you on your thoughts, on your feelings, and how we move forward together. Thank you. Chief's coming up next.
Appreciate you all being here. I'm often not at a loss for words, but I am. You heard the same thing that I did, as I promised you from the very beginning, that I would hear the same things that you all did at the same time, and that's what happened, because I know questions had come up about why I wasn't here when the press conference occurred. And that was specific because I was asked not to be here. That is why I wasn't here, but I'm here now and I've been here all along. One of the things I want to reiterate before I even get started, you may have heard this on my press conference that I had with the mayor earlier, is I absolutely 100% with my entire life believe that South Bend is a family. Don't care what color we are, don't care what gender we are, what uniform we wear or don't wear, we are a family. And a family member in South Bend lost their life at the hands of another family member. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no denying it. I will tell you that there was confusion on my part when I saw the same press conference that you did. Some things didn't make sense to me because I don't have any of that information. I received at the same time you have. I still have not digested. I have nothing that I can look at to equate to what I've known as a police officer for almost 32 years now. Once that happens, I will have a better understanding. And as soon as I have that better understanding, I will do my best to make sure you all have the same understanding as me. I still go back to day one when I took over, and I'll go back to October of 1988 when I was hired and sworn in March of '89. I absolutely, and so does any good police officer on this police department, believe that we are an absolute family. We will have our disagreements, we will have our arguments. We will hopefully someday agree to disagree, but have an understanding. And right now, that understanding is fractured. And everything that I or we can do in our power to mend that fracture, not repair it totally, except we'd be a fool to think otherwise. If there's any agency, if there's any community that has done that, I'd like to meet them and talk to them personally and find out. Some questions that come up that I had wanted to address, questions, concerns, complaints, or whatever, and I think it's beyond time that we need to clarify. There's a criminal investigation which we had no part of. Granted, some of our officers were interviewed for this criminal investigation, talking about the actual shooting of Eric Logan himself. We played no part in that. What we did play a part in, and that was all handled by the Special Prosecutor in the Indiana State Police. What we did play a part in was an internal investigation. We were made aware, and I believe it was the second week of July, don't have the exact date, that there was a, for lack of a better term, a complaint, an allegation that was made against an officer. I will tell you that allegation consisted of the name Ryan. Now, we have many Ryans, first and last name on our department. Immediately, but thank goodness an officer came forward, more than one officer, two officers actually. When they presented it to us, we immediately launched an internal investigation. Again, this was, I believe, the second week of July. It could have been the last of the first week of July, but somewhere in that time frame. Going back, the allegation was sometime in May that there was misconduct involving this officer. An allegation was made. Our internal affairs looked into it. In the meantime, during this investigation, officers, or an officer was questioned at the time, which would have been Ryan O'Neill. After he was questioned, he resigned from the police department. And that's, from that point on, that's where that investigation stopped with him. I can't move forward, I can't do anything legal or other, whether it's a suspension, demotion, termination, all that stops upon resignation. That's what the law is, that's what the law says, and I'm not going to break that law. With that being said, we still we're in the process of our internal investigation. We didn't stop there just because that interview happened. What we did was we turned all that information over to the Indiana State Police and the Special Prosecutor. That's what we do. Their conclusion of findings matched that we found in our internal investigation. And then last 2 points. Number one, it was brought up that I said that there was a amount of bullets or shell casings or whatever. That is not true. I did not say that.
I was there when you said it. I'm sorry.
Then you show me where I said that, and we'll talk later.
Yes,
I will
we
tell you,
can.
it was confirmed by ShotSpotter that there were 2 rounds that were fired. And the information I had at the time from the scene was that the officer fired 2 rounds. That's the consistency that remains. It has not changed to this very day. And according to the prosecutor, what I just heard, that is the same evidence that they uncovered, so that has never changed. Number 2, not one time ever have I said transportation of somebody, no matter the magnitude, was illegal. Never. It's not illegal, immoral, unethical at all. Matter of fact, I personally spoke with trauma people who do this for a living day in and day out. Specifically, I talked to Dr. Thomas, among other people, but he, the head trauma surgeon, said absolutely was the best thing that we could have done, the most prominent, the most obvious, and thank goodness you did what you did and not wait for the ambulance. Those were his words, and I know you may call it hearsay, but that's what he told me, and I firmly believe that. We have done those transports before Eric Logan was shot. We have done them since Eric Logan has been shot. And it's all based on circumstances. What would be the best medical care that we could do at that specific point in time for that person? And that is what happened there. I'm sure there will be questions, comments, and concerns. Some I may be able to address here today, some I may not. But I will promise you that I will take copious notes, and I have other people that are here that will take copious notes as well, and give you the answers that you rightfully deserve, as do I. Thank you.
Questions? Are those questions? Are you taking questions?
No,
Guess not.
What's your one action, Joe?
Good afternoon. I'd just like to recognize as well in the audience is Vice President Karen White from the South Bend Common Council Committee Chair of the Whole. Sharon McBride, council members, Lori Hammond, and Rachel Tomas Morgan here. As this is a serious matter and this council takes it seriously, as we said from the day, Father's Day 2019, when Eric Logan was shot, that we would look at all policies, procedures, and anything from budget or legislative that we can do on the Common Council. I'd like to just read a statement. The South Bend Police involved shooting of Eric Logan on Father's Day, June 16, 2019, was a tragedy, to say the least. South Bend as a community has lost and suffered from the effects of the shooting and the long wait as a special prosecutor conducted his investigation. The wait has been long, and we cannot heal as a community until today. While the city administration, the police, this Common Council, and the community has given much thought of what happened that night, we know this: South Bend will continue to heal, will continue to work to gain the trust of each other. We'll work to bring meaningful and equitable quality of life to all our residents. And it is evident that the city will always have a police department. It is evident that there will be interactions between the police and the residents. This council will work with the residents, police, administration to make sure there's equity on all fronts of our city government, as well as working with the best police department we can possibly have. We are committed to community policing from the council level all the way through, and build those relationships and respect each other the best we can, and have respect for not only citizens but help build the best well-trained professional men and women that we can find for our South Bend City Police Department. With that said, also Councilmember Troy Warner's in the audience as well. We will look, our role is threefold. We oversee the budget, we also oversee legislation, and we also are the voice of the people of South Bend, and that is everybody in South Bend. And that is our goal, to communicate, look for improvements, look for policy and procedure changes where we can, again, that is equitable for all. Thank you. I believe Ms. Mohammed is going to kind of lay out the format of this meeting.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gladys Muhammad, and I'm in community. Everybody knows me. Sometimes I try to mind my own business, but this here situation is my business. And what we want, this is a difficult situation. There was lots of emotions to one, and it'll be lots of emotions for some time, because it's our family, we're black, and what happened in the national, around the country, finally came to us. And what we wanted to do to make sure that you still have questions, and you still have concerns and things that you want to voice. And so what we're trying to do today is make sure that we hear our voices and hear the voices of the community and the pain that some of you feel as we address this issue. But the process is going to be, you can be able to come up here, you can line up here kind of like you do at a city council meeting. And Pastor Lee and Maurice Scott will be up here, and when you get 2 minutes apiece, you can just give your name. You don't have to give addresses or anything like that, and just come on up here and say what you have to say. And Pastor Lee and Maurice Scott will be here to help with this process. So.
Bernardo Malone, resident of South Bend, Indiana, president of Justice for South Bend. I work with murders families here in South Bend as well as other families. Eric Logan case, I worked very close with the family, was at the crime scene, and was in the meeting with the mayor, not this mayor, but all mayor, with the chief of police. So you guys wasn't there. I know what was said. It's on audio as well. But investigation we heard today, the verdict we heard today, we believe, I believe, just like the family believe, was a cover-up. How do you have evidence that wasn't part of the investigation? How do you have a resident that was woke up by South Bend police to say one thing, thank you, to say, tell the people that Eric Logan had a knife, a purse, and a radio? That's all I have to say.
Those that are going to come, if you can come and line up now so that we don't have any gap in time. If you can come and line up right here, appreciate it.
My name is Bernice. I'm a resident of South Bend, graduated from LaSalle 92. My question is, how do they differentiate between transporting a body in a police car? Eric Logan was 6'5". How does he fit comfortably in the back of a police car? I've never noticed someone even taking a child in the backseat of a police car. We're treating this case like we're Chicago. We are not Chicago, Illinois. We're not New York. We're a small city. So I would like to know, how do they transport him comfortably after he's being shot? I would think an ambulance will come, look at the scene, do what they need to do. Because at the end, he still died. So what did they say by transporting him? Were they getting him off the area so someone else can come around and cover up and pick up things? I don't understand. I'd like an answer to that. And I just know personally, dealing with the South Bend police, and my stuff is facts, that they are not disciplined like they should be. Case in fact, Joshua Morgan, I'm going back once again. Joshua Morgan left my home, came back to my home, and these are facts, injured me. Internal Affairs took over the case. They would not give me the information I needed until after I was proven not guilty for resisting arrest. 2 years. I have shoulder problems, knee problems from this. Then when I got his background, he's been in trouble since 2008. All the way up until 2015, all kinds of disciplinary action.
30 seconds.
So I made my case in 2016, and the law was against me. So this is what I'm saying. Hold your coworkers, your people accountable. If they're making the South Bend police officer and police department look bad, get rid of them. If they're not doing what they're supposed to do, because next time it might be you, or somebody else's kid.
My name is Samuel Brown. I've been active in my community for a long time. I have marched in this town and made speeches in this town because I love South Bend. But I want to warn everybody on both sides. The Logan family is grieving them. We've got to give them the time to grieve. Support them. Now, about putting that community together, send somebody in the community that we trust. Everybody we don't trust. They might have skin like mine, but we don't trust them down in the bottom lane. The reason I know this, because I can go places in this city where the police can't go. I'm out there. Whoever goes, make sure, and it's on your watch, make sure that we can trust it. It'll start the healing process a lot smoother. But you can't keep sending the same person into the community and expect us to survive. Because there's too much evidence stacked against it. I love my city. I think we got We got great policemen, we got some bad policemen. We can fix this, but we gotta fix it together. So don't rush it, this, and let's pray for the Logan family.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I'm a resident of South Bend, Mishawaka, a long time. And I'm just kind of curious, like, it's obvious that we have issues with our city police right now. What's going to be done about it? Like, it's not about, like, what happened. Everybody knows what happened. I mean, obviously, there's some kind of cover-up going on. You know what I mean? But what are we going to do different? Who are we going to change, get out? You know, how are we going to change things? Because history just keeps repeating itself. People keep getting stopped on over and over again that they mean nothing to our community when, you know, we're the future. So, and you're just going to kill off the future? Is that what you're going to do? Stand back and watch it? No. That's all I have to say.
My name is Elder Umoja Ajabu. I'm concerned about the lack of transparency that this investigation has revealed. For some reason, the timing is that Ryan O'Neal can be arrested for something that he did in May. Acted inappropriately with a prostitute. For some reason, today is the day that he's arrested. On the very day that he killed Eric Jack Logan, and he gets exonerated. It's almost like the disrespect of a prostitute is more important, more valuable than the life of a person of African descent. If South Bend is going to be just and want the support of people of African descent, then I would suggest that South Bend show people of African descent that their lives do matter.
30 seconds.
6 cameras on the set. None of them seem to have relevant information concerning the report. Release the information, let the people decide.
Yeah.
Release the information, let the people decide. If it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people, then let the people decide. Is that 60 seconds?
That was a bug. Can't turn it on.
Can you turn it off?
Take the battery out.
My name is Pastor Kenneth Lee, and though I'm the timekeeper, I'm going to keep myself to 2 minutes. And I just want to say that I love my city. Our city is hurting. People have been hurting. The Logan family is hurting. The police, the good police officers are hurting. We've got to make a decision that we want South Bend to be a better place. So the things that need to take place in order for this to not happen again, or the process to be better, we need to implement those things in order for people to feel like they've been heard. I think that's one of the biggest issues with everybody that's hurting right now, is they felt like they haven't been heard. And so I want to use 30 seconds to just offer a word of prayer, because we've done everything all day and no one's prayed. Reverend Williams did pray earlier, but just bow your heads. God, we need you. We cannot do this without you. And we ask that whatever needs to happen for healing to take place in our city, Don't let it come from natural means. Let it come from supernatural means, from you. Our city is better than this. Our people are better than this. And we just ask that you will bring us together so that we can continue to move South Bend forward in every area. Amen.
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 And don't send no one down there that we can't trust. You know what I mean? Them typical city ones. That ain't gonna help the city here.
Hello, my name is Pastor J.B. Williams, a resident of South Bend, Indiana. Been a resident all my life. So I thought I would get up here and just speak just briefly concerning something that Faith in Action in South Bend has been driving for since last year. That is the Matrix system that we had introduced to the Mayor Pete Buttigieg last year, and also I heard the police chief speak on it just briefly today. If I may explain to just a little bit about this matrix, it is nothing more than just a disciplinary action process that's been used throughout the entire industries. That is an escalation for police misconduct or any type of operation misconduct. Escalation process which shows a reprimanding process that will be allocated to anyone who is violating policies. And I believe that this particular process would have been in place, that it would have been something that could have prevented an officer that's a repeated offender of problems. It could have been transparent at that particular time and may have prevented someone that had a seed deeply rooted in them that caused them to see people differently. When you have that in place, at least it's transparent. And you can see exactly what's going on. We, as the community, are the customers, and we're making contributions toward the salaries. So that's something to take in consideration, and I know the mayor's working to move it, but I would encourage to move it more expediently so we can make this happen. Thank you.
Good job, sir.
Are there any more that would like to speak? If not, we're going to close this out and put it back into the hands of those who are in charge. Are there any more? Anyone else would like to speak?
I wasn't going to come up and say anything. My name's Jesse Davis. A lot of people know me off of community Facebook, My Local, which is a place where you get a lot more news, truth, and transparency than you do anywhere else. So since we've got apparently all the news media here today, I'm going to put a plea out to the news media, and I'm also going to make a comment to Mr. Wiskowski and our new mayor. We keep hearing about transparency, yet every single time that you try to dig into an issue or you go to the news and try to see what's happening in the community, we see news from Michigan, California, Ohio, out on the East Coast. We got enough things going on here locally that y'all news people could fill your news stream every night with local news. You're supposed to be local news channels. You're basically paid by local people. And so we'd like to see the local news. The media needs to step up to the plate, do a little more investigative journalism. I mean, if somebody like me, who's a nobody, can find out facts, and trust me, there's a lot of facts that get posted that never hit the media, then somebody's not doing their job properly. And the community feels jilted when we don't hear important things in the news, and we have to find it on social media. When we put in APRAs, whether it's with the police department, the city administration, whatever, we expect to be able to get that stuff back in a timely manner. Not get excuse after excuse after excuse and not have to file 5 or 6 make trips down here for the same information and never get that information. That's not transparency. That's not transparency, and anybody can deny that that's going on. I've got documents to prove, and emails that APRAs have been put in and denied for one reason or another. And when you come back and ask for that information, you still don't get it. So transparency needs to be worked on.
I don't make a donation to my vocal. Make a donation.
All right, well, we've heard from everyone, and given everyone that wanted to say something an opportunity to say something. Thank you. And who do I turn it into? All right, turn your hands to the mayor.
We intend to make good on our commitment to transparency. There are processes that we can explain further. Mr. Davis would love to talk to you further offline about those. Certainly, we need to make action and make good on the things we've been discussing for some time. But there are reasons why we want to make sure we get things right, and we're not. I hope you guys do hold us accountable if it looks like we're trying not to drag our feet and not get them done. There's a sincere, genuine effort to get this right. I know the police department wants to we all want to get this right, the community wants to get this right. And it's on us to tell you why it's not as easy as it may seem at first, and we'll be happy to tell you why things are taking longer than any of us would like. I would love to be able to move all these things forward yesterday, but there are some things we have to work through. And just be sure if there are questions, keep asking them, and we'll do our best to answer them and tell you why.
You take one question?
Take a question.
I appreciate it. You know, I marched with you. I spoke for you. I think you're the right person for the job, and I told you that. I'm going to tell you one more thing. Them police takes, I don't care how bad they are, I don't care what it is, but you owe the city of South Bend to put this to sleep, whether we like the verdict or not. We will heal that. We'll get through that too. But let's not keep it out there for another 3 to 4 years. The lawyers making money, everybody making money. Let the citizens, like they said, let us judge what happened. Do it. Just like the Osco killer. Do it. Get it out there. We have people murdered out there, and we still haven't got to the answer yet. What happened? That family deserved what happened on Western Avenue. So I back you. I'm going to stand with you, march with you, but just get it right.
Well, thank you for that. I guess the question is on the tapes in particular. And I will say, I've been in office for, I lost count now, but somewhere around 60 to 70 some days. We are undergoing a full legal review in terms of what our options are and what we might be able to do differently from the previous administration. And we do hope to have some announcement on that in the near future.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
How near is that future?
I mean, I'd say a matter of weeks. I mean, probably by the end of the month.
Days would be better.
Days are, yeah, well, like I said, I'd love to do a lot of things. I'd love to do a lot of things quicker than we can get them done.
The criminal investigation is over with, to my understanding, is that correct?
The criminal investigation, that I believe, I don't know if we have an attorney here, but that would be my understanding, is that the special
That's the reason
prosecutor
why the prosecutor
released
Right.
his findings, and he's done what he's going to do from that side of it.
So if the criminal investigation is over, then what's the reason to hold the tapes from being released so the people can decide whether the prosecutor?
Oh, you're talking about the tapes, not this case. The tapes,
I'm talking about the tapes. There was, to my understanding, 6 tapes on the scene of Eric Logan's death. You tell us that Ryan O'Neal didn't have his own. But to my understanding, there were dash cams in each each of the three cars he showed. And then the two officers driving the other two cars had body cams. So if one, okay, I can buy that one camera didn't work, but the other five didn't work, release that information. If all the other five didn't work, then there sounds like there's a conspiracy to hide something. So I'm saying if, and the report says that there is tape information, release it to the public so the public can decide if what they are being told has veracity. Would you not agree to that?
Yeah, we agree to releasing whatever we can. I will say there is one small piece to that. For any use of force that happens, or if a citizen makes a complaint about the police department, internal affairs within the police department do their own investigation to look at those facts. And they also look to see, in these instances, did our officers follow procedure and all of our policies. And so that investigation, that internal affairs investigation, did begin about the incident shortly thereafter last summer. It hit an ending point while the special prosecutor was doing its piece. Now that we have the special prosecutor's findings, they will look to see if any new evidence has come to light and see if there are any policies or procedures that were broken, and then they will conclude their separate
I
investigation.
understand that, but I'm talking about breeding trust
Right.
with the citizens. Already, the citizens do not trust the police. And now you're going into a delay that looks like it's delay, deny, and hope till you die so that we don't have to release the tapes. I'm saying the sooner that you release the tapes, and that doesn't impact the internal investigation, release the tapes so that the people can see for themselves what went on, and then they can determine for themselves if what the investigation concluded, they can say, okay, well, yeah, I can have trust in that and we can go on, or maybe we should look at this a little bit more. Would you agree with that?
That's a fair, I will go back and see what we're able to release and when. My understanding is we don't release while there's an ongoing investigation, which we hope that this internal will conclude swiftly, but,
Thank you for
yeah.
your
All right. Thank you, everyone.
May I have one question?
Sure.
Concerning that matrix, do you have a window, a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day window that you think that would actually get through the system?
Again, I would like to say we are farther along. We will aim, we'll aim to try to get something back out to the public to look at by the end of the month. That's our goal. If it goes beyond that, then maybe we'll let you know if we go past that and why. But yeah.
Thank you,
We
sir.
make sure this doesn't happen again.
Like I said, we're gonna have that review come out from an independent
We need a review
agency.
to make a rule about it's not gonna happen again? Like, do they have their dash cams on all the time now? Or it's tomorrow they're gonna be another problem with another dash cam, somebody else built? Another person that's, in poverty, who can't do anything about anything, who's ostracized. We can do that again and again and again for power.
Again, we've clarified, the previous administration clarified the body camera policy. We'll take another look at that, and we'll make sure that our officers are held accountable for keeping their body cameras on when they're required to do so. So,
What exactly do you plan to do about it?
do which?
To do the review and make sure the officers are using the body cameras? What do you plan to review?
The policy?
Yes.
We're always open to feedback from the community too. If the revisions that were already made were not sufficient, we would be happy to take input, but we will go back and look at it as well in the coming days.
During the interview that happened earlier, the prosecutor said that whether he threw the knife or not was not a factor in his mind. But if he threw the knife before he was shot, then he shot an unarmed man. What are your thoughts on that?
I do not know the full legalities of that, but it would, there are a lot of questions that I have from what the special prosecutor presented this morning and that would be among them. What exactly did happen and what would or would not be justified. So that I would share that question. I don't know.
I only have one more. Earlier, I asked him if he had ever tried a citizen the same way and treated them the exact same way, if whether a citizen had misinformed or had, like, stories that didn't work together, two different stories, basically. And he said he had not, which means it shows there's favoritism towards the officer. I have this on video. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the law's got to be blind. There's got to be one standard for
Yes,
all.
sir.
That's my opinion.
But the law's blind, shouldn't he be in jail right now, fighting this?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Just like everybody else has to do? Innocent
That's how
until
anybody
proven
else
guilty?
is
No,
innocent
guilty
until
until
proven
proven innocent,
You can
period.
only do so much, I understand, I think.
Unless you got this.
Like, it's nothing, no malice with you.
But if the citizen had two different statements from the police, they would be locked up fighting this. They would not be in the streets on their free will. So it seems to be that there's favoritism of police officers.
Exactly.
That is certainly something we should pay more attention to and figure out what we can do. That's not something that I can do as mayor, but certainly something we should look at how we can prevent that type of.
Make sure that that was on the table before you left here and got to putting everything else together, so that we could be having a much more productive conversation the following time. I think you said next Thursday?
Next Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.